On to step 2 in the Krebs cycle. Again, pyruvate is very important because it is the starting material for our Krebs cycle, or it produces, I guess I should say, the major starting material for the Krebs cycle, as we'll see. So we have to take our pyruvate, there he is, our 3-carbon molecule, into the mitochondria. So just to orient you to our mitochondrion, we have our outer membrane. In orange here is the intermembrane space, inner membrane, and all this yellowness would be the matrix. So we use a transport protein to bring the pyruvate across the membrane into the intermembrane space and then across the inner membrane to the matrix. And in doing so, pyruvate loses, well, we'll go to step 1 first, loses a molecule of carbon dioxide, or loses a C carbon and an oxygen, 2 oxygens. So this is one of the points at which we make some of that major product of cell respiration, some carbon dioxide. So thinking back to our major or overall reaction for the process, there is where some of our carbon dioxide originates, that we breathe out. Also, electrons are transferred to NAD+ to make NADH, okay? And then something called a coenzyme A is added to what's left or what remains of the pyruvate. And in doing so, we make the major starting material for the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle, acetyl CoA. Now, without pyruvate, we could not make the acetyl CoA. All right, so again, without the pyruvate, we couldn't make this acetyl CoA, and we couldn't start the second step of cellular respiration. That's why pyruvate is considered the most important product of glycolysis. All right, let's move on to the citric acid cycle, again, also called the Krebs cycle. There's our acetyl CoA we just made by pulling pyruvate across the mitochondrial membranes into the matrix. Now again, we have a series of reactions here. One intermediate being converted to another, and all the time using an enzyme to do these reactions. Again, I'm not concerned with you knowing the names of all of these intermediates. That would be something that you would learn or have to understand for a biochemistry class. What I'm concerned with is understanding what is produced. What are the major products in terms of energy and carbon in these reactions. So acetyl CoA converted from one intermediate to a next, and we're making some NADH here in this step, and taking electrons from this intermediate and putting them onto NAD+ to make NADH. Also producing some carbon dioxide in that step. That's another major item you'd like to know that occurs in this part of the cellular respiration process. And then we also have some more carbon dioxide being formed here in this 4th step, more NADH. And then we also have, oh, look at this, FADH2. Looks very similar to NADH, and it is. It's another electron carrier. It carries electrons. Again, these electrons are high energy, and they are going to be used to power that last step of cell respiration. Okay, so we have another NADH molecule being produced in that last step of the citric acid cycle. So the major and most important product, or I should say products, of these reactions are, just as we talked about in glycolysis, the product that is going to allow us to move into or accomplish that 3rd step, the next step in the process. So which molecule is going to allow us to accomplish that last step, step 3? That would be the electron carriers. The electron carriers are carrying those electrons, those high energy atoms or subatomic particles that are going to power the last step of the process and allow us to make a lot of ATP. Now again, we do make some ATP in this step. It's only a tiny bit though, so it really isn't the major major focus. And then we also produce the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide, if you were to be asked, where is it produced, you could say the citric acid cycle, and that would be the major source. And when you talk about the citric acid cycle, we include this step of pulling pyruvate across that membrane. And remember, we made a little bit of carbon dioxide there too. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to our final step. We've gone through glycolysis, made our pyruvate. Pyruvate was pulled across the membrane to make acetyl CoA and go through all of the undulations of the Krebs, and or if you'd like to call it the citric acid cycle, to make many NADH molecules and FADH2 electron carriers. And these are all being used or will be used in that final step of cell respiration, which is oxidative phosphorylation, and one of the major components of that is the electron transport chain.